2 at 300 Raceway for the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. And today we have action from the screaming unlimited Superstock tractors and smoking Superstock diesel trucks. The 2020 season has been a shortened but heated points battle for all our classes. With half the pulls we would have in a normal season, each round is more important than ever before. After an intense round of pulling last night, our competitors hit the track again tonight to take another crack at it. Don't go anywhere. The final night of the Farley Nationals kicks off now.
Oh yeah, we're going to make some big-time horsepower with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League here in Farley, Iowa at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears to call the action for you. We're going to start things off for those clean burners. Going to be alcohol making tons and tons of horsepower courtesy of our unlimited Superstock tractor category. And then we'll follow that up with the Superstock diesel trucks. The smokers will be out here to put on a show.
We're talking about 8,000 pounds, 4,000 to 5,000 horsepower. And you can see we've got the V8 running bare, and it's going to kick off the class. And Jeff Hurt is nothing short of excitement when he hits the track, that's for sure.
And he has been on this year with this tractor. A win and a third place. And I got to tell you, man, he leaves nothing on the table. Smoke coming out of every corner of that thing, a nice big bang right at the very end of it. Helmet off, up and at him, as he always is, but not before he puts 350 and 84 up on the board and says, come chase that, boys.
He has been phenomenal so far this season when he's hit the track. The only unfortunate part is that he lays down a monster pass like this, and then we see that smoke at the end, which means he could have pushed out a head gasket. He could have some problems on the bottom end. There we're seeing oil all over the place there. And so usually he's a one run and done. So it could be trouble for him if they decide to reset the sled here.
Just a day in the life for him, man. Stands there, takes a look at it like, yeah, we'll fix it. Might not be tonight, but we'll fix it. There's a look at the pulling order here, and you're exactly right. If they decide to change that sled, my guess is that one's done for the night at least. So we'll see how that goes, but he is certainly off to a great start here this season. So exciting to watch him when he gets up on the wheel. He's been developing there for a couple of years, but it looks like he is back. Coming up here next is Brent Payne, and he spent some time with Leslie.
It was smooth sailing last season for the Galat team, but Brent, it's been a little rough on you guys this year, and you say it all goes back to a minor change that you made this winter.
Yeah, last year was great. Trackers both ran awesome all season long. We won 95% of the events we went to. Come home, change oil, check plugs, run the valves, do the normal maintenance, and we were good to go. Went to Louisville this year, made a gear ratio change, and it just seemed like the whole rest of the season after that's been up and down. So we find something that's right, and then 3 more things go wrong. So.
You got your whole team here this weekend, and you said just hours ago you actually had the head off. And so how nerve-wracking is it for you guys to think, okay, we finally got it figured out, and then you find one more issue?
Well, that's what it is. Like last night we made 2 runs and thought that we had it after the first run, and then we come back and it was worse. So I thought, okay, we'll come back. We've got a couple electrical things we'll change, and then we got through those, started up, found the cylinder head was leaking a little bit. So yeah, about 3 o'clock we tore the cylinder head off of it, made some repairs and put it back on, and here we are. We're getting ready to start it again. So.
Yeah, and I got to say, they did not chase points on the Champions Tour last year, but they showed up at 3 events. They were on the podium nearly every single time with both tractors, including Goshen and Evansville, where both tractors were on the podium both rounds, including a win. And just hanging the front end up and down out there. Another impressive hook here at 331 and 70. It'll take us a few minutes to shake this one down and find out where it really stands, but boy, that was beautiful.
And something that's really going to lift the team up here, you know, when you work that hard and you chase those issues, you make the change that you think is going to make a major difference and elevate your program, and then it sets you back and you come back with a run like this. You can really feel good about it, knowing that you've made the right moves and now you're finally back on track.
Here's a look at the points after the first 2 rounds complete with Jeff Hurd up top. Back-to-back podiums for him, and then the Rutten Deer kicking the season off with a second-place finish. Up there in second place, just 4 markers back. Of course, Blackburn, both Josh and Terry and the Mike Cheezick team always a threat as they are 3rd and 4th. Mike Nominer there in the top 5, and we've only just begun here with 3 completed hooks, and one of those being a rainout. You do earn points there. Everybody gets 15 points, so it is 3 in the books. And I spoke about this class burning methanol or alcohol. We do have a diesel burner in the class here tonight. And Tabitha Demers with the smoking hot Deer comes out here, goes 3:09 and 20. What a super cool tractor out here. And of course, a pair of pipes blowing some smoke out of that one is just really an awesome visual.
It's awesome to see the diesels have the ingenuity to come up here and to be able to be competitive with the alcohol tractors, because, you know, this class actually originated in diesel power, separated out to alcohol. They ran together for a short time in the 80s and 90s, then they separated, and now coming back together. A little experiment that PPL did last year at the final hook of the season and found that the diesels can actually compete. And in fact, a diesel Superstock tractor won that final event. So they opened up the rules to add them for 2020.
Here comes a tractor that is second in points coming into this event. Brandon Block doing the driving. It finished up in second place at the season opener and 4th at our second completed event. So just one night ago, this one just missed the podium, and 3:36 and 85 would give them a podium finish if, in fact, they can stay there.
This is a pretty aggressive run for the team, and I think Brandon does a great job of keeping the tractor under control once it tries to get unsettled with that open rear end going to work, one wheeling a little bit early on. Finally lines it out. Looks like it is just a little bit light on the nose, though. And so maybe an extra 100 pounds could have lined him out and stretched out that distance a little bit.
We are hearing that the officials are going to set a full pull mark at 330 feet. That means we have 3 tractors out over the mark, and we'll have a pull-off when this one's said and done first time around.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. K&N, superior airflow, superior performance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
And once again, welcome back to the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. So far, the Unlimited Superstockers are putting on a show, and we've seen some big distances out here. We will also see a pull-off inside of this category as a full pull mark has been set at 330 with 3 tractors out over that mark. And here comes one of the best in the category, Neil Gettinger, and lessons learned. Well, and Neil wants to jump in the party afterwards as well. 3:38 and 67. That is the second furthest distance we've seen so far.
Just a beautiful pass here by Lessons Learned. I know Neil has worked very, very hard to line this tractor out. And this 330 full pull mark is controversial, to say the least about it. You know, I really worry what the officials are thinking here with so much good iron back in the gates. You know, we haven't seen the 3 Blackburn tractors. You've got Mike Nominer back there who's been running really well. The Silver Bullet as well, who could all make it. So we could ultimately end up rerunning the class here if everyone picks up this track like they have so far.
Yeah, and we've already taken a look at Jeff Hurt, our leading tractor's engine. I can't imagine that one makes a trip back.
When we last saw the Silver Bullet in Hillsborough, Jordan Lustig was still lining out a few things with the new vehicle that he put together for the season. And Jordan, here we are, a new season, and it seemed like after that pass one night ago that you're really figuring things out with the new combination you've got.
We're starting to, and here at Farley, boy, what a phenomenal track it was last night. We expect the same thing tonight. It took about all the power we had, all the front end weight we had, and everything else we could throw at it. And we're just learning. We got new tires on starting this past winter. And like you mentioned, we had that new chassis. I feel like we're getting it figured out. But as you would know, it just takes time.
You know, and it really seems like everyone talks about the new tires that you have finishing stronger. Did you notice that on your pass last night?
Yeah, I do. It got up too high and hit the wheelie bars a couple times. And I had to actually backpedal it some and get back in it. After it settled down, it really hung the front end nice and pulled what I thought was pretty impressive for what a start it had.
Interesting news for sure. We'll see what adjustments they make. He took his time getting after it, but boy, it was a beautiful hook. And while it's not the furthest that we've seen out here, or even in the top three, it is across the 330 mark. And we'll certainly get him in the hunt. Very respectable, by the way, at 336 and 37.
And you can see the compensation for getting on the wheelie bars one night ago by loading up that front end with weight. And normally we see that nice 12 to 14 inches of air between the front tires and the ground on the Silver Bullet. But Jordan Lustig compensating for those tires, wanting to get the most out of them on the starting line so it doesn't kind of upset the apple cart, so to speak, and get him to one wheel and ruin the one early where he has to backpedal.
Here comes Roy Metz with the Crazy Chaos. Comes in here in the top 6 in points. Boy, Leslie, and one of those hooks where everything looks right, but unfortunately just does not get the distance out of it, as he'll go 3:08 and 98. So there's a look at the top players inside of the category. Remember, there's a pull-off if you can get it past the 330-foot mark. Should be exciting. Fans are packed in here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. We're at 300 Raceway in Farley, Iowa. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears calling the action for you. Some fans up there track side. And this is the Galot 2. Get a load of that. And we saw the first tractor come out here and lay down a nice number with Brent Payne at 331 and 70.
And this is a tractor that's very capable of putting it in the pull-off as well.
Oh boy. Hangs on right to the very end to get everything he can get out of it, but he's going to miss that pull-off mark by just a little bit at 327 and 44, and clearly missed the nose weight there. Wouldn't have taken much more to get into that pull-off.
Yeah, and you see it unload there just a bit, getting up on those wheelie bars, really detrimental to your hook. And you can tell it's got really great power, and it's amazing that something as small as 100 to 200 pounds can make that much of a difference in the run. And it also just shows how hard to handle these tractors can be with their horsepower to weight ratio.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to sit here and pick them apart, but boy, I'll tell you, man, that decision is so tough to make inside of the pits, and there's nobody better at it than these guys here. So can't second guess what they thought might be best to do out here, because trust me, they will beat you up time and time again if you want to take a stab at it. Here comes one of the best teams in the business. Josh Blackburn doing the driving duty on the considered armed and dangerous machine. Of course, they finished first, second, and third in the points a year ago, first and second 2 years ago. They are a dominating team out here, to say the least, and he will certainly be inside of the pull-off. In fact, if they made the pull-off mark at 350 feet, he'd still be inside of the pull-off. 364 and 87, I don't think I've ever said a number that high.
And he is pumped up. What's surprising to me is that our Finnish flagman, Jackie Kometz, out there waves him off at 330 once he gets past the full mark, and he just stiff arms it right out there and just runs it out there another 30 feet.
I've got an opportunity to set a record right here. I'm going for it.
That's hard on parts, though, for sure.
No doubt, and we'll have to come back and put it through its paces again. As speaking of coming back, we're going to take you back courtesy of General Tire as Terry Blackburn puts on a show one night ago right here at Farley and grabbed the win.
Yeah, just amazing here. This is the extremely armed and dangerous machine. Didn't kick off the season the way that they wanted to, but definitely come back with a vengeance. Night one at Farley with something to prove here after the season opener.
Oh, man, and funny how it goes sometimes. He's probably not laughing, though. 329.06, and he's going to miss the pull-off mark by a tick less than a foot.
What's really surprising to me is these guys that have notes that they look back on, they have charts, they have graphs, they have all this computer data. They normally hit their drawbar setup perfect, but it looks like they miss it here just a little bit. And, you know, Jordan Lustig alluded to the fact that this track was way better than they thought that it was, and so it seems like these guys got hooked up a little harder out of the hole than they thought that they were, and could have used a little bit lower drawbar to try to keep it under control.
Oh, so close to making that pull-off mark. It's incredible, and you talked about it before, what a difference a small change will make on the nose of these tractors. Here we go, last tractor inside of the category before the pull-off, Mike Noviner, the Dominator Deer. And finally shuts that one down just 3 inches short of that 300-foot mark and will not make the pull-off here tonight. So we'll take a quick break. Everybody will get a chance to regroup, and we'll pull them back out here and get this thing settled. Time for the pull-off here in the Unlimited Superstock Tractor category at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. Incredible effort here out of this class, and you can take a look at the huge numbers. Josh Blackburn really throwing one down. Jeff Hurt came out here, went 350 and 84 as the first tractor in the category, and we could see some damage done to that power plant after that hook. We were questioning if he'd be able to come out here and make the pull-off, but there he is. And looks like he will just bump the sled here and make it official.
I wonder if this is maybe kind of a mind games move by Jeff, you know, after putting up such a big number early on, to come out here and maybe let everybody think that he's not as hurt under the hood as he is.
Next one in the hunt is Brett Payne. He went 331 and 70 in his first effort, and clearly this one will lay up a bit short at 245 and 29, but that is the mark to beat as it stands right now.
And it really looks like the sled is much heavier. It's putting the brakes on him faster, and I wonder if he wasn't going to head out of bounds, so he went ahead and let out of the throttle.
Brandon Block's first effort was 336 and 85 with the Rutten Deer. And as we talked about before, he comes in here second of the points. Boy, things are getting pretty sporty right there. It nearly lifted that left rear tire twice, and I think finally he decided the smartest thing to do here was to back this one down just a little bit. So he'll lay up at 207 and 64.
Some crafty driving in the seat there to keep it under control and to be able to set it down there and get that measurable distance.
Yeah, I mean, that one was wanting to get ugly here pretty fast as Neil Gettinger comes up here next. And lessons learned, he went 3:38 and 67 in his first attempt.
Oh, man, what a good hook.
Yeah, he was absolutely not playing around with that one. He got after it right away and said, yep, I see what's going on here. I'm going to give it all it has, and goes 300.16. And he is the new leader.
And the way this team has struggled, I know, putting back-to-back beautiful passes like that together, the team is feeling good, but it just sits down right out of the gate. Those rear tires locked in, getting the front end up. Good job on the weight distribution, especially with the change on the sled here, to put down that awesome effort.
Yeah, those guys are top players in the category, no question. And boy, they put one together here as we take a look at Jordan Lustig and the Silver Bullet. He went 3:36 and 37 in his first effort. What a beautiful effort out of him as well. It sounded like it was actually going to pull that motor down, and he said, oh, no, there's a little bit left right here, and he leaned into it, 292.06, and a beautiful fire show at the end.
And if you listen to the RPMs, you can really hear him working that throttle, getting the most out of his machine, working those new tires back there, making sure that they can hook up, and he doesn't have a wild ride out there, but that Rhino Ag box topped off, and it bounced off the front rails of the sled because it's hitting so hard, putting the brakes on him so fast out here in the pull-off.
I'm really curious if he could have gotten after that a little bit quicker and maybe, just maybe, taken that lead. But as we say all the time, it's easy to second-guess him when you're sitting up here, man. He is extremely good at what he does and certainly worked that throttle based on what he was feeling. Here comes Josh Blackburn. And right to the top of the heap he goes again, and rightfully so. After putting 364 and 87 on the board in his first attempt, he comes back, goes 308.06, and wins this one by 8 feet.
Just amazing, the fact that they can get those engines cooled down, they get the leaf blowers out, they try to get it as cool as possible, and then come back and make a monster run like this after all that heat has built up in the engines. Just phenomenal, the teamwork they have and the program that they put together.
Boy, what an exciting class here tonight. Second hook at Farley. The players came out here and really threw it down after getting a good read on this place just one night ago. We'll send it down to the podium. Jordan Lustig ending up inside of the top three, and Leslie's with him.
Two amazing passes here for the Silver Bullet machine tonight. And Jordan, it really looks like you guys have just a few finite tunings left to go, but you're definitely on the right track.
We're getting there, definitely. When I talked to you this afternoon off camera, I was hoping for a top three, and boy, we did it. And just couldn't be happier and proud of this team right here. There's not a lot of us here, but boy, we're here in spirit, and we're really happy with what we got tonight.
And rightfully so. I mean, take a look at the top six making it into the pull-off, of course, and then here's how they end up in the pull-off with Josh up top, followed by Neil Gettinger, Jordan Lustig, who we just heard from, Brent Payne, Brandon Block, and Jeff Hurd, all of them putting on a great show. Once again, we'll go back down to the podium, and this time we'll talk to Neil.
It took a lot of dedication for the Lessons Learned team to make it here on the podium tonight. So, Neil, what do you think was the most critical thing that helped you line out the tractor in order to make it here tonight?
Well, we worked on the clutch most of the night and the turbo, but that wasn't our problem. We backed it out of the trailer and started it up, and it wasn't running. It wouldn't pull the hat off your head. And but it being parked next to the Glott team, they helped us out, and we found a distributor to be shorted out, and they helped us fix that and make it to the pull. I want to thank my wife and Mark Benniger here, my crew chief, and my son Lauren at home. And this pull's for Jack Snyder. He's got stage 4 cancer at home, and I just want to tell Jack we're praying for him.
And here are the points now with 4 hooks complete. Jeff Hurt still hanging on just by 2 points over the Rutten Deer. And of course, that Blackburn team, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and hungry to pick up the pace. Let's go back down to the podium. This time we'll talk to our winner.
Just an amazing field of heavy super stock tractors here. And Josh, I was a little concerned on that first pass. You only had to go 330 to make it in the pull-off. What made you stay in the throttle that long?
We don't get a lot of pulls this year, and I'm going to be honest, it just felt way too good.
Well, you did make it back for the pull-off, and you were able to pull off the victory, and just a great night. It was hard fought for your team with some beautiful passes on your tractor.
Yeah, it's just not just me. I'm just driving it. It's all the work we do in the shop preparing these things, and I got to thank Mike Chiswick and his family, my wife, my dad helping me tune these tractors. He's teaching me a lot along the way, and it's a fun family sport to be involved with. I got to thank you guys for what you do. You guys make us look good on TV, and I want to thank the Simon Says boys. Great facility, awesome track, Bauer sleds, K3 tire. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but just really appreciative of everything.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it will be time for the Super Stock Diesel Trucks. If you like hot rod diesel trucks, you're going to love this class.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Super Clean, not just clean, super clean. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source.
The Unlimited Superstockers are finished up here for the evening. Time now for our Superstock Diesel Trucks at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. Another extremely competitive category that has developed over the course of time, and boy, these trucks are good. They are strong. They make a ton of power, and the drivers are second to none. Jacob Bear will kick off the category. The name of the truck, Grin and Barrett. Just a beautiful truck as well, and we'll set the mark to beat at 312.
So awesome to see him develop as a driver in this category as we take a look at our running order tonight, and so many names synonymous with winning here in this category. We've got Eric Stacy, who's really come along in the last few years and smoking you. Shane Kellogg and Trump has put a title under his belt. Of course, Kent Crowder out here will be in the latter part of the category, and then Van Hazley in the Rock Hard Ram, who has been tough to beat this year.
Yeah, back-to-back wins for him, right? And including here just one night ago as Terry Biggs starts to build boost inside of this one. They call it the Deadpool. Finished up 5th in the points just 1 year ago. Certainly no slouch, and the distance up on the board will be 3:07 and 56 for Terry Biggs as we take a look at the points.
Van Hazley on top with those back-to-back wins. He's just been unbeatable this season. Kent Crowder doing business in there with back-to-back seconds, doing his best. And then we see Shane Kellogg up there in the number 3 spot, and Brian Withrow holding down the 4th and 5th spots with his 2 trucks making moves this season.
Yeah, great stuff for sure. As we continue on here, it's going to be Eric Stacy coming up next with the Smokin' Ya HD out of Winchester, Ohio, and Leslie spent some time with him earlier today.
Eric Stacy made a few changes to the Smokin' Ya today to get it to hook up a little bit harder to the track. So Eric, what are the points that you look at to make those changes when you've got a track that's a little softer, which is not what your truck's traditionally like?
Well, typically what works for like the tractors doesn't typically work for us. So, we're with our horsepower level and our weight, it's a little bit harder for us on a softer track to get, the traction that we need. So, we adjust the gearing, we adjust the tire pressure, and, sometimes we can play with the hitch a little bit, change the angle of it a little bit. I mean, it's kind of dependent on each, night. And tonight we made a few minor changes, but I think the track's probably going to be a little bit different. And we've, with having 18 trucks in the class, the pull order makes a big difference. So we're a little earlier tonight. I think that helps us. So, we'll see what happens.
Did not chase points throughout the entire season a year ago, but if you go back to 2018, they finished up third in the points. They are tough for sure. Wow, and the ground speed out of that truck was impressive. I thought he was full throttle there about halfway through, and then he went full throttle. It was like, oh my goodness, man, that thing is strong. 3, 16, and 95. We've got a brand new leader.
And you can watch the smoke coming out of the pipes and see how he's working the throttle. Puts it all the way over there on that right sideline, and that's the sweet spot for this truck. And as he mentioned earlier, this is a good track for big tires, smaller tires, especially diesel trucks with those smaller tires like a harder packed track. And so he went back to the drawing board, looked at his notes, looked at his points of data that he puts on his acquisition system, and made those changes, and that made a huge difference for him.
Here comes the first of 2 trucks out of the Nut Job team. This is the Nut Job 2, comes in here 5th in the points. When the tone of that engine just completely different at 301 and 57 is where he'll end up.
Yeah, it looked like Withrow left the line a little bit more aggressive on that first effort and then had to back out of it really hard. And so by doing that, you lose a lot of that RPM band that you need at the top end.
You mentioned Shane Kellogg when we were talking about the points there. Comes in here 3rd in the points and kicked the season off with a 3rd place finish. Respectable effort one night ago. Finished up 6th one night ago. We'll put 309 and 57 on the board here, and that'll be good enough to jump up into 3rd place.
And we can already see a trend here where guys are going to kind of follow in the footsteps of the Smoke in Your Truck and kind of find that line out here. This is going to be Nathan Vegg and his dad, Ference, out there, a former orchestra conductor and teacher out there, kind of bringing him up on the line and lining him up on the track.
Beautiful truck for sure. Love the lighting underneath. Unfortunately, the distance here will be a bit short of what they're hoping for. So 291 and 96 for Jumping Jack Flash. We will take a quick break here. When we come back, it'll be our points leader and so far undefeated for the season, Van Hazley. Fans having a great time here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway Farley Nationals, presented by Mag Trailer. Great to get out of the house and watch some motorsports action go down. Van Hazley backing that one up. He had a chance to speak to Leslie a little bit earlier, and of course you'll see his logo on a number of fire suits out here. They work with a lot of teams, and he's off to a great start here in 2020.
The Rock Hard Ram has kind of been a work in progress for the last 2 years, but Van, it seems like this truck is just right where you want it to be. So how has your mindset as a driver changed from 2 years ago to now, and how has that helped you?
Well, as we were speaking a little bit ago, Leslie, it just 2 years ago, I was just frightened every time I let out on the clutch. This thing would just jump out from underneath me. It was so bad that my son and I had talked about cutting Rock Hard Ram in half and starting over. And finally, we figured out what the clutch problem was. We switched manufacturers. But since then, we've upgraded our engine program. We're running the Weimer turbos and the Nichols tires now. But the truck is just consistent. And one of the big things, Leslie, is when the truck is consistent, anybody out here will tell you that you just get so complacent and you know what your truck's going to do or your tractor's going to do. And so when you leave the starting line, you're not worried about what your truck's got to do. You're worried about what the driver has to do, because our class is such a driver's class. It's kind of like playing poker. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And our throttle is the same way. And I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but the nut behind the wheel's been doing a pretty good job lately.
Taking himself lightly, but he certainly has a feel for it, and it is exactly that, a feel for how much grip that thing has and when he can use it all. And he just seems to be able to go to full throttle sooner than everybody else. And look at that distance. 3:19 and 71. A brand new leader here as he puts near 3 feet on Eric Stacy.
I love the fact that the track is consistent, though, because we see him go to that left side and make this beautiful pass. But I think that for him and being able to go full throttle so soon goes back to the clutch. So many guys in this category have told me that it's all about the clutch, and they make those changes to try to get it to hook up harder and faster on the line because they know it's about ground speed. You mentioned it with the run by Smokin' Yet, had such amazing ground speed. That's what you need, because when the box tops off on the sled, you're going to rely on that ground speed to carry you out the top end.
Man, that one pushing wicked flame out of the pipe. And the truck known as Gertrude, as you can see, it is for sale. If you'd like to jump into the party, we'd love to have you come out here and join the gang. But unfortunately, he's going to be just a tick short at $297 and $50.
Up next, it'll be the Triple Alpha process and Jeff Miffick, and he's really worked a lot on his program to make some changes over the last year, and I spoke with him earlier today.
It's always interesting the different setups that people have for their vehicles and how they hook up to the track. And Jeff, you kind of have a unique setup that is really tuned in to the track conditions this weekend.
Yeah, so we run a stock chassis. It's actually a Ford Super Duty chassis. And then we run a steel body. So our weight distribution is much different than somebody like a Van Hazley with a tube chassis and a fiberglass body. So we really have to be careful with our weight distribution. 100 pounds here or there really messes up our front end. So a lot of times it's hit or miss with us, but with this track, it's a little bit softer than some of the tracks we've been on, and actually this truck likes it because it's a little bit more forgiving, and we can really get the tires to set in, and when it takes hold, that weight distribution just works better on tracks like we have today.
Over the chalk he goes. That's an immediate DQ, and what a shame. It just made a really quick move to the left there, and then he brought it right back, but it was too little too late. What a shame.
What I'm noticing is the ground speed that he had off the line and then where he finished at the top end, because if he could have kept it in bounds, I think that he would have taken the lead away here from the rock hard Ram. If you look where he ends up with that leader cone, and you could see he was backing out of it early, and that's probably one of the best passes that I've seen the Triple Alpha process make out there. A full head of steam off the line, hooked up hard right away, and he really had a chance if he just could have kept it in bounds.
Here is the reigning champ. In fact, has won the championship 2 out of the last 3 years. A couple of really good trucks yet to go inside of this category. In fact, 3 very good trucks. This is Kent Crowder and Shai Diesel. Boy, and a solid effort right here. 3:12 and 65 won't be enough to take over the lead, but he does sneak by Jacob Barron, the Grin and Barrett, who posted a 3:12, and that'll be good enough to put him into the top 3. We've got 2 trucks left to go.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Rhino Ag, born to lead. And by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
Just 2 trucks left inside of the Superstock diesel truck category. Here at the Super Clean 300 Raceway, Farley Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. One of those trucks is the 2018 champion. As we take a look at him right there, that is Cody Hastings, and it's called Against the Grain.
I'm looking for him to put a big power move up on the board here with this run, because he's not been very confident about the runs he's put in the book so far this season.
Well, a really good call on that one for sure. 3:17 and 13 will be just short of the leader and good enough to jump up into second place. A monster effort there.
Yeah, he told me that the mechanical that he had one day ago here at Farley, and then, you know, the poor decision to drop a hook there at Greentown have really weighed on him. And he said he's really just got to get back to basics and what he does best out here. And that's being patient on the line, having a lot of throttle control, and then finishing strong. And you could see the rear end of that truck really working hard to hook up at the end as that box was topping off. And he just stayed in the throttle and powered through to the top end.
And the final truck inside of the category, Chase Eller driving the machine called Caretaker, and has been inside of the top 5 the last 3 years consecutively in the points. He's a player. And big RPMs out of that one. You've got to wonder what gear he chose. 3:01 and 63 won't be enough to play with the leaders tonight, but a beautiful sounding truck and a good looking hook. So much fun to watch these guys come out here and battle the way they do inside of this category. I mean, it's a Champions Tour category. It's expensive, and the guys are as good as they come. Great fun for sure. Let's go down to the podium and talk to Eric Stacy.
It was an early hook tonight for Smokin' Ya, and Eric, you were the first one to run that right sideline, and it paid off for you.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 guys that me and Kent Crowder ran the right side, and Van and Cody ran the left side, and it was a little bit line sensitive. The center was kind of chewed up, but, you know, I think they all ultimately did a little bit better job driving. They got a little bit more aggressive out of the hole tonight. And that seemed to kind of make the difference, because once they picked that pan up, it come over top of those holes, and man, they really set and took off. And I mean, hats off to them. They did awesome tonight.
Yeah, you're still hanging in there third, though, so still a great night for your team.
Absolutely. I mean, like I told you earlier, like, if you just said I'd have got, or told me I was going to get a top 5 tonight after my run, I'd have told you were crazy. But I mean, we'll take it. I'm tickled to death, and I mean, we're just happy to be out pulling this year, and you know, see everybody that we've missed all summer long, and that's what's important, and we're happy. So we'll take it, and we'll go back to Ohio, and we'll see everybody here in a couple weeks at Scheid.
And here's a look at the final order as Van Hazley makes it 3 consecutive wins. Man, is he off to a great start here in 2020. Cody Hastings Against the Grain right up there and turning that program around, and Eric Stacy rounds out your top 3. And once again, we'll go back down to the podium.
Well, in the past, Cody, you've told me that it's really a lot of concentration on your hole shot that helped you out throughout your pulling career. And so how did that concentration on your hole shot help you out tonight?
Well, tonight wasn't the smoothest, I thought, but I went through that second hole there. There's a couple holes there at the beginning. Went through that second spot, and I just must have got in at the right time and felt pretty decent after that. I knew I was close to Van, but not quite close enough.
With 3 consecutive wins, and keep in mind, this is after the 4th hook, but one of those was rained out. It is Van Hazley up top and has a 10-point spread over Kent Crowder. Shane Kellogg there inside of the top 3, Eric Stacy, and then John Bear round out your top 5. This one just getting going in a very tough category. Let's go back down and talk to our winner.
Well, the Rock Hard Ram is on a roll. And Van, I want to have you search back in your memories. When was the last time that you won 3 in a row?
Me and my wife was just talking about that, Leslie, and it has been back in brush hook days. In the professional series, we've never done a three-peat, and I'm just thrilled. Got a special thanks to RJ, Pro Pulling League, ARP for holding that hot rod together, and I'm just, my wife and I are just ecstatic, and the other thing is tonight is Team Hazley is 1, 2, 3, so just fantastic.
Never miss a hook. Go to propulling.com/set reminder to add all of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League airings to your personal calendar. Receive a calendar reminder minutes before each event airs.
Keep in mind, you can always go to propulling.com and keep up with the latest news. Find out what the schedule is, and we'd love to see you at one of our events. Hope you enjoyed all the great pulling action courtesy of our Superstock diesel trucks and our unlimited Superstockers. So much fun out here in Farley, Iowa. For Leslie Mears, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.